Day 13, 26 games deep, and for game number 27, I'm going to be playing my favorite game of all time, Metal Gear Solid 2. Hopefully that was the right radar type I wanted. Kind of mashing through. Technically, if I wanted to be super efficient, instead of doing Tanker Plant, I could just do Plant. Because that still is the full game. You still get the ending and the credits and everything, but it's way more fun to also do Tanker. I think most Metal Gear games in general, people would probably think they're not very viable games. Considering, generally speaking, they are kind of long games. The thing is they become a lot shorter when A, you're not watching the cutscenes, and B, you know what to do. I'm going to play this pretty safe just because I'm on normal. You can kind of just run under it, but there's a chance it'll catch you, and then you have to go through the full alert, which, I mean, okay, yeah, if it's this room, then yeah, you would. Oh yeah, I can't. Let's see. I don't think I can break that with the M9. If you were playing on very easy, though, you wouldn't need to worry at all about sneaking around. Because if you ever got into alert mode, anytime you move to a transition screen, you would instantly be taken out of it. But really, what's going to make Metal Gear Solid 2 kind of really easy to do is just having the M9. And I am playing on the original version of Substance, the original Xbox version, which isn't necessarily the fastest version or anything. In fact, it's kind of slow during the tanker because the game lags. Sometimes the aiming can be a little tricky. But the reason I'm playing the Substance version on Xbox is just because this is the version I'm most used to. I've played some of the other versions. I've played it on Steam, I've played it on PS3. But this is the version I've played the most. I've beaten it multiple times, and I've gotten all the top scores on all the VR missions. Not that there's really too much difference between each version. The thing is I'm just more used to the controls on this version, because the original Xbox version used pressure-sensitive buttons. So if you hold out your M9, and then you want to put it back without shooting anyone, you can lightly let go of the button. there more ammo over here? No, it's just a ration. I probably don't need that. But you can just lightly let go of the shoot button, and then he'll put the gun away. Whereas I don't think later versions really use the pressure sensitive buttons, so I'm not actually sure how you would do some of those controls. I know for some things, like if you didn't want to shoot with the M9, what you could do is you could just swap weapons and then you'd put it away. But like I don't know how you would with the with a rifle not shoot someone, because you can also not shoot someone by lightly holding the button, which is really hard to do, and you have to do that for some of the hold-up missions with MGS1 Snake. I'll wait till I get a cleaner shot. But since I know how to use the pressure-sensitive buttons more on this version, I'd rather just play this version and know for certain I know how to do all the controls, rather than try and play a different version that's going to have different controls. Really, though, I am just exploring just to make sure I can get more M9 bullets, because, again, the M9 is going to be literally the most overpowered thing in the entire game. The only thing I really foresee that could, like, really raise the length of the game would just be if I do happen to get into alert at any point. And I thought this guy was gonna move, but it's not. I don't really think that'll happen too often, but there are chances it could. Also, I'm, after each shot, I'm switching weapons, because that not only makes it to where you don't have to watch the, like, reload animation he does, but also if you switch weapons and then immediately swap back, it'll reload all of your ammo. So you don't actually have to reload at any point. Yeah, and then the game just kind of becomes really easy once you kind of know just where all the enemies are. Because then you pretty much, you just run up to them, you hold them up, or you just shoot them with the M9. Shooting them in the head will instantly knock them out, whereas with, he's just gonna stand down here? I thought he was gonna come out more. Right, this is, I don't know how this is gonna work with there being guards awake. Because I don't have a suppressor, so they might hear it, but... And there's the other one. And also mashing the action button on the doors will let you open it faster. I do need to be aware because there's going to be an enemy soldier up here. There he is. Yeah, I was not expecting to get that shot first try with how dark it was. You can shoot out the lights, but there's really no reason to, again, if you know kind of where all the enemies are. I don't necessarily have to shoot all the enemies. Sometimes I might be able just to hold them up and keep going, but it is just a little safer too. Unless if I were like going to immediately enter the next room, then it wouldn't matter. This fight I actually find can be pretty tricky sometimes. I mean, it's probably because I just stand still and take all their fire and just use, which, I mean, speaking of using rations, if I just hold it out, I'll automatically use it when I need it instead of having to manually use it. But I kind of just stand still and just shoot them as they come up. I don't really try and dodge much, especially because, again, I've got 5 rations, so really doesn't give much reason to save them. Especially because it's not like you can't get into a firefight at this point. If you get caught, you lose instantly. There's no other fights left in the tanker chapter. So really no reason to save rations. I mean, you probably would want to play that differently if you were playing maybe a harder difficulty, or if you were going for a certain rank. I don't know how much damage plays into higher ranks, but for just beating the game, I mean, just tanking all that damage is perfectly fine. And we want to roll over these grates so we don't make sound. Let's see if I remember to do hold 2. Do you think you can just kind of, when they move? Yeah, it can be a little tricky, but you can just like shoot these 2 dudes and then squeeze past them, but obviously I messed that up.
Snake, respond! Snake! Snake!
Ours is not the only military project devoted to Metal Gear development, but it cannot be more different in nature from the Navy's. Theirs is a program that will add fuel to the uncontrolled fire of nuclear proliferation. It is a fact that players...
Okay, do you need to see what the other way to beat this room is?
Snake! Snake!
See if I can remember. Because I think I can go under, right? Yeah, probably just safer to do that. I do know that can work, where you just like kind of go beside them, but... And that is way, way faster, but... I guess I'm just not familiar enough with it to really be able to do it.
Forget about it.
The opposition from the Navy is an undeniable fact. There is a lot of pressure from Navy brass, especially those with submarine and air background.
Although this will put me kind of in a awkward spot in hold 3. So I'll have to do a bit more work to actually get all the pictures I need. Whereas it's pretty easy to do if you just come from the front. It's you can get the pictures so quickly if you know what you're doing.
in the light of the military dominance spelled out by Ray. The shift in the balance of power will mean a new world order. I have a daughter.
Yeah, I just need to figure out how to get out of here, but I mean,
Her or her children.
we just go over here.
Horror of nuclear war. As a father, I want to leave a better world for the future generation. As a soldier, I know that is my duty.
He's probably gonna.
You must be Terrence.
Yeah, I was thinking he was gonna do that. That was way too long a pause for him to not
Left,
start doing something like this. I guess I'll just wait on the ladder till he's done,
right,
just to make sure no one sees me.
left. Let's continue.
Can I see this guy from here? I can.
Metal Gear Ray is amphibious. Unlike the Army's Rex, it
Okay.
cruise deep underwater. Move in undetected.
Now it's just getting all the pictures, which is pretty easy.
Landing on any shoreline.
Good.
And listen for snakes.
Its
Quote.
onboard joint tactical information distribution system identifies targets with
To make sure you've got the picture right.
unerring accuracy.
Good.
Takes them out with massive firepower. It is the ultimate weapon, and it is yours to guard. I'd like you all to think about what that means. Some say that the strategic
Hopefully that other picture I didn't wait for the quote was fine.
the opposition from the
And if it was all fine, then we just upload it here, and that's the end of Tanker. As far as other Metal Gear games go, this is actually not the only Metal Gear game I'm gonna
the Marines.
do for this challenge. It all just really depends on how familiar you are with a Metal Gear game, and I think most of them are probably viable. Phantom Pain could be one that maybe isn't, because of how many missions and how long that game is. It kind of depends, though, if there's any sort of route you can do where, like, you know just what all the main missions are. I don't remember how Phantom Pain's ending works, though. And maybe something like Solid 4 or some of the later ones might be too long. But in terms of familiarity, Solid 3 might be viable. I think that's kind of about the same length as this game. It would just be a little... Probably just a little longer, because I'm not quite as familiar with Solid 3 as I am this game. Because I've only beaten Solid 3 once, I've beaten this game a bunch of times. This is actually... Let's see... I need to just... Trying to remember if the M9 is here. I know on some difficulties... I think the M9 can be here on some difficulties. Because again, I want the M9 as soon as possible. But it might be that this is the difficulty, that it's in Strat F. And if that's the case, I want to get that as soon as possible. It actually might be here in Easy, now that I think about it. Yeah, I don't think it's here in Normal. But there's something really interesting that the manual of this game actually points out that I don't think most people would really know otherwise. It's just a very small detail that's just super interesting. But if I go to this ladder and I press the action button on it, he automatically climbs down. I have no input after I press the action button. He immediately climbs down, or he automatically climbs up. And that actually works differently in the plant chapter compared to the tanker chapter, because in the tanker chapter, you press the action button to get on the ladder, and then you manually have to climb up or down. But the controls change in the plant chapter. How ladders work changes depending on what chapter you're on. And it's just a very small, very odd detail that is something that's just different between chapters. Granted, there's not that many ladders in the plant chapter. That's possibly the only one. I can't think of a single other point that there really would be. Oh, do I have to get the node first? Probably. Interesting that the defaulted the name to challenge. That's the name of my VR missions file, because I was gonna make videos on that and try and get all the top scores. Ended up not doing it. In video form, I have gotten all the top scores. But I didn't record myself doing all of them. I don't know why it defaulted the name to challenge, though. It could be because when I started this session of the game, I did load into VR missions just to see if I could still do Hold Up 7 as MGS1 Snake. Because that, I think, is probably one of, if not the... No, it's not the hardest VR mission. It's definitely, though, in the top 5 hardest VR missions. The survival... Zacho Survival, or whatever it's called, with, I think, MGS1 Snake is also one of the hardest ones. And any of the, like, sniper ones, except for Pliskin, are... It'd be kind of difficult. What am I doing here, actually? I obviously don't have the Skeleton radar. I'm trying to be careful because I don't know if there's a guard here, but I guess not. I guess the guard will be here later. It can maybe be a little tricky if you don't have the nodes yet, because then you don't have the Skeleton radar. But again, as long as you like kind of know where all the enemies are, you can get through it pretty easily. And honestly, this is going to be the hardest part of Plant. Is just not having the nodes or the M9. But I'm pretty sure... Ah, shoot. Well, that's actually a pretty interesting... part of the strategy in this game is actually knocking out soldiers with punches. Because you get a 3-punch combo. Ah, shoot, I didn't realize he was going to come back. How's there already a guy in here? But they give you the 3-hit combo, so you would think you would want to just keep doing the 3-hit combo. Like, that they would have given you the best. That, like, you're just mashing the button would be the best form of combat, but it actually isn't. At least if you're just trying to knock out one guy. If you have multiple people, you can knock multiple of them down with the combo, so that can be good. But if you're fighting just one-on-one, one enemy, you will want to keep tapping the button in a rhythm to where you're only doing one punch. Because the more damage you do, eventually they'll get knocked out. And so instead of having to do 3 hits, wait for them to get back up, 3 more hits, wait for them to get back up, you could just keep hitting them until eventually they go down. Just make sure no one's out there. Okay. You're getting the M9 early on, because you don't have to go to Strat F at this point. They want you to go to Strat F way later. But I want the M9 as soon as possible. Oh, that guy's gonna go away, so... Okay, I didn't know the Cypher actually went down and then just straight back up. I thought it was gonna move to the side. Can't see the laser very well. That's also something that makes the M9 pretty OP, is the fact that you get the laser on it, whereas you don't get the laser with the USP, and the USP or SOCOM can both actually be pretty hard to aim. But even sometimes in like the Zeko survivals and VR missions, if I'm fighting guys, I actually will sometimes just straight up use the M9 just because it's so much easier to aim. It's still a one-hit headshot with either weapon, so as long as your aim is good, it honestly is a lot of times better to use the M9 than the SOCOM or USP, depending on which character you're playing as. It's SOCOM if you're riding, USP if you're Snake. Or Pliskin in the VR missions. You know, honestly though, I think part of the... Oh, right. Forgot about saving. I plan on beating the game in one session, though. So I don't think I really need to save. But still. Honestly, do think, though, some of the hardest parts of the game to get through without being seen are actually just going to be these connecting bridges. Just because oftentimes they'll have or not snipers, but multiple guards and ciphers. But generally speaking, I should know how to deal with them. I forgot how little there actually is of guards being here for this Strut B area. There will be guards later, but not right now. Alright, but the node's pretty deep into Strut C, so I need to just make sure there's no enemy up here, because I think there is. But maybe there's not, or he takes a really long time to get here, but I can probably... No, I guess not, just because you have to meet Peter Stillman first. I think the guards appear immediately after this scene, though. Or this group of cutscenes, because there's quite a lot of them.
There's no need to think about this so
This is the only unskippable cutscene in the entire game,
That's not for amateurs.
but it's not always unskippable. I think if you play New Game Plus, you can skip it.
Look at this.
I just don't know that I have a file, like, already beaten that I could have done New Game Plus on. Probably should have made one.
This
But it doesn't matter. This is not a super long cutscene anyway.
It's live. You can see it pulsing. Now you spray this on the sucker and there we go. Simple, huh? The spray freezes the detonator instantly.
And again, this is the type of thing
There's no way
where...
the thing can detonate in this condition, even if you leave it alone.
Oops. I did not realize my
That's enough time.
TV is too loud. Some of that was picking up on the mic.
But this will
Oh, well, hopefully it doesn't sound too terrible.
Used from several yards away. Now check the floor, ceiling, walls, under a table, everywhere.
But the bomb section is definitely one that is going to be made a lot easier
Don't know a thing about Fat Man. Is there anything that'll help us locate
because I
the bombs?
know
Here, take
where all the bombs are already.
It's what they call an ion mobility spectrometer. It can recognize ionized gas emitted by C4s.
The
I think in
what?
general, for doing the bombs, it is just best to go around in a circle. So just start with strat C, then do D, E, F, A, B. Because after you do all the bombs, you have to go back to strat C anyway.
What if he's using
So
some
just going in a
odorless
circle.
substance?
Which, I guess you could do it backwards as well. Start with
I know Fat Man well. I know how into his own aesthetic.
C and then go B, A, F, E, D,
Let's see how well that sensor
then back to
works.
C.
All right.
But I've always just gone around in a circle.
You see the green stuff on the radar?
Really, the only annoying bomb, though, is strat A, and that's just because you have to crawl a lot, so it's super, super slow.
Don't complain. It's better than nothing.
Just activate the sensor.
Honestly, I do wish, though, that the bombs
All right.
were kind of used more in, like, VR missions, because they do have the bomb disposal game modes, but I kind of
Because the radar gets knocked offline
wish they
when
went a
it's
bit
spotted.
further with it.
Fat Man would have allotted some C4.
Because having where you have to find all the bombs is just a really fun concept, especially seeing where they could find to hide them on different maps. But since all the VR missions tend to use the same areas, you know, there are some maps that, you know, maybe could have cool hiding spots for the bombs that you just never go to in those VR missions. And also, like, they try and do in the last
Right.
bomb disposal VR mission, they do it to where you kind of go around the entire plant. But I kind of don't like that one very much because you're mostly avoiding soldiers in that one. You're not really... It's not just about finding the bombs. And I think it's just the most fun. When the purpose of the mission isn't dispose all the bombs while avoiding the guards. I like it when it's more, about the interesting hiding spots and where are the bombs located. Sometimes that can be really scary. Trying to grab another rail after jumping off of one. Because sometimes I'll be mashing like crazy and he just won't grab onto the next one. It's generally faster, though, instead of walking around and using the stairs. I do need to remember where the note is, though. Oh, there it is. And hope I have enough time to get out of here before the other guards start coming in. I should, yeah. I especially do, because there's, like, no good hiding spots in Strat D, and there's really not any good hiding spots in Strat E either. Strat F's probably the easiest to hide from guards in. We got plenty of time. Well, my shot was way high up. I have to make sure to get this guy too. That is a guy up there, right? Alright, just need to get closer. Probably shouldn't have wasted that much ammo, but there should be plenty around the maps. I'm just gonna reset that. Should make the guy not suspicious anymore. I do want the note, though.
Enemy in the area. Increase security level.
I forgot they came from this way. Dude, that sucks. Oh, great, the shotgun guys. Shotguns do way too much damage. Okay, there's a cutscene, so... This gets rid of my alert. I think there are guards here, right? Yeah. Can be really hard to see the laser sometimes, but I still think it's easier to be able to somewhat see the laser than it is trying to use the iron sights on the SOCOM.
Right.
Pretty sure there's only 2 guards there, so I don't feel like there's that much risk in just running straight ahead. I actually should get the mine detector, though. Now let's see if the other guy's still awake. He is not. I guess I'll grab the box, but I don't think I'm really going to use it much. But just in case, I will have it. Then you can go down here to get the mine detector. After you're told that there are mines on this bridge, then if you call Pliskin, he'll tell you that there's a mine detector on Instrat E. Right. Forgot about this guy. You gotta make sure he doesn't see me. Generally speaking, there is a pretty easy route you can use to always avoid the mines. But for later in the game, I do want to pick some of them up, so it's not quite as difficult. Is he ever going to stop looking, or do I need to just shoot him?
Colonel.
I would just really want to focus on these that are kind of in this area by this bridge. Because I'm going to need to use that bridge later in the game. The other two probably won't be a problem. If you crawl over a claymore, you'll pick it up, so you don't have to... So you could, in theory, get through that whole area just by... crawling all over the place, and you'd have no... real worry about getting hit by any of the mines. Where did this guy go? That's what I'm wondering. There's a guy who's supposed to be over here, isn't there? Oh, there he is. Okay. There's two guys down here. It's good I saw that, because I was gonna say there's only one. And then I should have plenty of time to do both the bomb and the node and just leave. The node's down here, though. And then hopefully I don't have to go back upstairs to leave. No, you don't. This is a double layer bridge.
Jack?
I have two chaff grenades, but I don't know if I want to use them yet. I just don't know if there's another guard yet. Want to know that before I just start trying to blast the cipher. Because if a guard hears me shooting, it will immediately go into alert mode. So if I make sure there are no other guards first. Alright, there's not. And I don't want to use my chaff grenades just to make sure I have them, because they are very useful. For a later part in the game. So I want to make sure I have them.
Freeze. Freeze.
And this is the worst bomb in the main game. Because you just have to crawl through this really long tunnel and then crawl back. And it's just really, really slow. But at least they do give you the visual cue of the red pipe, so you know to go down. Guess it's not actually really that long, it just feels really slow. I think technically it would be better if I had my trigger button set to switch to last used rather than unequip. But I'm just way more used to having unequip rather than previous, because I don't like using previous just in case my previous one was, say, the coolant, and I just need to, switch and switch back real quick. Or I just don't want to have my M9 out for whatever reason. I don't want to switch to the coolant, which is gonna force me into first person. I feel like Strep B, you don't really do much in the main game. Like, you really kind of only have to go to Strep B a lot of the times to either get this bomb in the main story. Obviously, the first time you come here is just story. You don't really do anything here. But other than that, it's kind of you just defuse this bomb, and there's only like 2 guards. So it's really the least memorable strat of all of them. But there's a lot of VR missions. I guess they're technically alternative missions, but they're all under the... I think most people just call them VR missions anyway. Just in case it comes back up. But some of the alternative missions, especially like some of the holdups in Strep B, actually tend to be some of the harder ones. Right, I just need to get the other sensor. Now it's back to Strep A.
Peter, I have sent.
But as far as other Metal Gear games go, like, Solid 3 is a maybe. It depends on just if I feel like I just have no other games, and that seems like it's going to be the fastest one. But I'm not really banking on doing Solid 3. It's not a guaranteed. I think this will be one of the fastest games I can do right now. Not like Solid 2. Because we're pretty decently far into the game. And it's not even been an hour. I think a lot of times I tend to categorize the length of this game, like split it up into sections based on boss fight, but that's not really accurate because it's been quite a while since there was a boss fight. That whole bomb section was a very big section itself. Plus the Fortune and Fat Man fights are like right next to each other. But this is the only part of the game where you're like running around all the struts. The rest of the game's gonna be a bit more linear.
Right.
But definitely another Metal Gear game I'm gonna end up doing is actually Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes. Because Phantom Pain's a really long game, but Ground Zeroes literally like a 20-minute game. Not long at all. Yeah, I do want to make sure I don't get too close to this bomb, because if you do get too close to it, it will blow up and you'll lose. They want to make sure you're pretty far away from it. What is interesting, though, is if, as soon as you start the game, if you look under the submarine, that bomb is still there. It's there the entire game. It doesn't just appear once you get to this part. I don't think it's possible to come back and defuse the bomb before you defuse all the other bombs. I don't think you can come back to this area until that part of the game. Would be kind of cool if there was like some sort of Easter egg for doing it. Or just as soon as you got the diffuser, if you just came back to this part, it defused the bomb way before you were supposed to, but that really would have broken a lot of the narrative. Yeah, the Fortune fight is the only boss fight in the game that you cannot beat. I should keep a ration equipped just in case. But it's the only boss in the game you can't beat. It is entirely wait until the next cutscene plays. If you have good timing, though, you can kind of just peek out and then move back. And while you're in this like little animation, you have a little bit of invincibility. So if you have good timing, you just keep doing that over and over and you'll never take damage. This and some of the outside sections in the tanker chapter would be kind of where I'd save time if I were on one of the HD versions, or even I think the PS2 and original PC versions also. The Xbox version just tends to lag a lot, especially in this section and whenever there's the rain in the tanker chapter. But I don't think most other versions lag. Yeah, pretty much as soon as you're done with the fortune fight, now it's time to go do the Fat Man fight, which you have to go back to strat E for. It's going to be better to go just from F to E rather than anywhere else. Also, there's a mine here now, isn't there? Yeah, there's mines. But that does show how familiar I am with this game. I know that after the fortune fight, there's going to be mines there. So you have to avoid those. Is this guy still asleep? Or... I'm going to try to run past them because I don't want to use my ammo. I didn't realize I only had 10 M9 bullets left. That is an interesting thing. Is that there are two different counters of bullets in the bottom right. A number and then just a bunch of symbols. The symbols are how many bullets are in your clip currently. So I have 9 in my clip, so 9 are lit up. If I had none of them would be lit up. Oh, that must have been what happened the first time I came in here. I must have gotten that guy first and then didn't get this guy and not realized it. I realized who I actually had taken out. No, I want to go this way because this is where I've already cleared out like all the bombs. Yeah, the numbers. The 46 is how many bullets I can hold max in the M9. But the other number is not how many bullets I have in reserve. That's the total number of bullets I currently have. So I have 7 because I have only 7 bullets left. If I had a full clip plus 4 bullets, it would say I have 20. Because that would be 1 full clip plus the extra 4. But I'm really looking for those M9 bullets because, again, I don't need to stun him. I just need to defeat him. But again, I just find it way easier to do it with M9 than the SOCOM. But I guess M9 bullets aren't going to spawn until I start the fight. Yeah, I also need to worry about the bombs. Usually it's not really that much of a problem. Deal with the bombs as well. In fact, I'm going to take an opportunity to hit him before dealing with the bombs. Usually, though, if you are fast enough, you can kind of defeat him before he even really starts putting out any more bombs. My basic strategy is just use the SOCOM to knock him down, switch to the M9, and then hit him. You do have to be pretty particular about shooting him in the head and not his suit, and that's a really bad angle. Then still making sure I'm dealing with the bombs as early as possible if he does place them down. Though he hasn't activated them yet, so I'm not really in that much danger, but I just don't want to let him go too long and then all of a sudden it's a big problem. Sometimes, though, if you are quick enough, you can actually hit him twice. Will this work if it's only this much exposed? Yeah.
Hi.
Let's see if I remember what to do next. Okay, yeah. Just got the BDU, so... Definitely means, yep, time for the hostages. Which this is the part where I really want chaff grenades for.
Why did they?
Luckily, though, it is just on the EF connecting bridge is where I need to go next, so... I'm pretty much right there. This is where I want chaff, though, because there are going to be ciphers. And I also want to just sidle against the bridge. Because if I walk on it, some of these panels are going to fall. And if the panels are already taken out when I come back, it's going to be a lot harder to get back without those panels. I could still sidle, but I won't nearly have as much time. So I'd rather keep all those panels how they are. I really did not remember this section. No. Oh gosh, I messed up. Shoot. I was not trying to hold that guy. But yeah, I messed up. Shoot. I forgot. Oh well, just kill me. I don't need to be here anyway. But that's gonna already use my chaff grenade, isn't it? But yeah, I'm supposed to get the AK first.
Jack, what's going on? Answer me!
Which I think that's in Strat F.
Jack!
So that shouldn't be too bad. It's just I have to make it back through here. Which means, again, I'm going to have to use my chaff grenade. So now I have to see if there's either another one or if it's okay just to shoot all the ciphers. I would need 2 more, at least, to pretty easily make it through this section and the next section. Yeah, that is really not ideal. Definitely would have preferred for that not to happen. No, there's nothing in there. It has been a while since I've done a full run through of this game, so but so far I've only forgotten one small detail. Granted, how I went about forgetting that small detail really hurt. But still, I just need to find if there's chaff grenades anywhere. There's M9 bullets. I don't think Pentasmine's actually that... Okay, there's more chaff. I don't think Pentasmine's actually that good to get. Because they're going to give us some at the point we need it, and then there's not going to be many other places that will need it. Yeah, I knew something didn't make sense, though, about... trying to figure out how to get past those guards. Because I was thinking I just legitimately didn't remember what, like, the usual route is for slipping past the guards, but you're not supposed to even fight them, you're just supposed to be disguised. I was thinking too much about where to go and not what to do, I think was the problem. Now we can just switch. We should be disguised. I'm gonna save though, just in case.
What's up?
Maybe save just a little more frequently. Just so I don't get into an awkward situation like that again. Because if I had saved before, I wouldn't have had to. Or I could have probably just loaded my save. SOCOM Suppressor's really good, though. And I think I'm supposed to get the directional mic. I just don't remember where it is. Because I'm opening all these lockers trying to find it. But I don't think it's actually here. I think it's only there in one of the snake tails. Which I do need to go back and get all the alternate endings to the snake tails. I've only beaten them once, using mostly the normal routes. Yeah, you also don't want to bump into anyone, because if you bump into someone, it'll instantly unequip your disguise. So B1, I think, is where all the hostages are, which means the mic should be down here. Actually, I think the node's on this side. No, it's down more. I'm thinking of a different section. Whoops. Yeah, no point in trying to put the disguise on or else they'll know. Honestly, at this point, probably easier just to take a death. But still. Definitely not ideal to have to play it this way. But yeah, just... I don't know why I messed up there. I'm gonna wait till I get out of this room before I put the disguise back on, because sometimes they can know that you have the disguise. And if they do, then I don't know that I'm gonna be able to really sneak around in it. If there's a directional mic. So at least I remembered that before going to B1. Should be good to redisguise again. I'm pretty sure though with the hostages, I think Ames is always in the same place. Oh right, I forgot about this part. Where is he? Is he up here? No, this is where I was thinking that other node was.
Retinol pattern recognized. You are cleared to enter.
So if Ames is always in the same place, I should know where he is just right off the bat. I think his model's also the only different one.
Right.
So I should be able to tell from his model if I'm correct. Yeah, he should just be down here.
Reporting no problems in the hall on B1 in the Shell 1 core.
You're Ames, aren't you?
Yep. It's always in the same spot. I guess coming up this year is technically an unskippable cutscene.
King, Fat Man is dead.
It doesn't matter. Saved us the trouble of getting rid of him ourselves.
Why did he betray us?
Who knows? They're a band
But you
of lunatics
technically
to
are
begin
still
with.
playing, unlike the Peter
Nothing
Stillman
they have done
cutscene.
should come as a surprise.
I'll have his background rechecked, just in case.
You think he was working for them?
We can't discount the possibility, especially with that intruder still at large.
Yes. The man in the sneaking suit.
You know more about those suits than I do.
But Foxhound was disbanded 4 years ago. So it must be the Patriots. What about the damage to Shell 2?
The circulation system for the contaminated water has been damaged. The water being drawn in is overflowing, and the lower block of the central section is flooding.
Seal the connecting pathway between Shells 1 and 2.
The Simtex and IR
Let's see what's
sensors are
next
already
after
in
this
place.
section.
Any effect on it?
No.
What about the President?
The password entry has already been made to the black case. In 1 hour, we'll need a confirmation from him. His work is done after that.
Make sure you keep him alive until then.
Yes, I know.
What about the unit's activation?
Almost complete. The code has already been entered.
Next is gonna be the Harrier
Now
fight,
it's for the
right?
girl to start the system.
The
Gonna be
usual
Harrier?
method, I assume?
No. The drugs took care of everything.
Only a few more steps to outer heaven.
Harrier, the Emma section, Vamp, the sniping section, Arsenal Gear, Solidus, right?
Lord Ninja Shalashaska.
I cannot even guess.
What about you?
Matter looked into.
Don't cast suspicion where it isn't due.
Where it isn't due, when you watched my father die and did nothing.
It's been 2 years ago, Olga. Let it go.
I read the case file for Shadow Moses, by the way.
Olga, how could you suspect me?
I know that the ninja is not one of my men.
How meaningful you make that sound. If Sergei were still alive...
If the old man were still alive, I wouldn't need to take orders from you.
Olga, Sergei was my best friend.
If you sell us out, I'll kill you myself.
Listen, daughter of Sergei. Don't ever let me see your gun pointed at me again.
If you wish, I'll put a bullet in your back instead.
Stop this infighting. I took you both in when no one
Definitely
else
think this
would.
is the
Think any government would have
similar
you as
to a lot of
irregular
other
for this
games
political
where
climate? The
if you
worst
are
kind
playing
of
it
wet
just
words
all in
way
a
back,
row
but even that's tough.
and
I
you
recommend
know
against
absolutely what
switching
you're doing,
cameras.
it
You've
kind of
nowhere
seems
left
like
to
the
go.
game starts off really long and slow and then really speeds up by the end. Because, again, it's very, very long in between the Olga fight and the Fat Man fight. But then getting here to this part doesn't take that long. It's not going to be that long to get to the Harrier.
How much do you think we spent on that arm in Lyon? The best transplant surgery team in the world.
So, like, even if you know what you're doing for the bombs, it still takes a while because you're going all around the map. But then it doesn't take that long to get here because you already are on Strat E. So you just go to F to get the AK, back to the bridge to come into the core. You just go down to B2 to grab the mic, back up to B1, and you're done with this entire section. Whereas with the bombs, you have to first go to Strat C, watch all the Stillman cutscenes, defuse the bombs from every Strat, go back to C,
Anyway, what?
then go back to A to the basement to defuse the bomb, do the fortune fight.
You, where are you going?
Freeze!
I accidentally hit the trigger. Did not mean to. Yeah, then do the fortune fight, and then go back all the way to E to do the Fat Man fight.
Right.
Then again, I think it's also, every other, like, next section's also going to be kind of as short. I guess the Emma section's a bit long. Look, there we press the button. And then you can't disguise anymore, right? Yeah. Yeah, back to 1. This is where the SOCOM suppressor would be very useful. I really need to shoot him a lot faster than that. Oh well. Best just to see if I can straight up run from them or not. It's gonna put me in evasion, so as long as they don't come through this door, I should be fine. And then I can just use the chaff as usual. I just need to think about where am I actually going next. So let me think. What actually do I need to do? Because this is all about going to Strut, or to Shell 2, which you go up to Shell or to strat D for that. Oh, I can't use, or I can. I just need to make sure that I don't need to grab something first.
Not good. Enemies.
Okay. I keep going to equipment trying to find the chaff grenades, but they're not there. And again, since I saved these panels, I never need to go back to the Shell 1 core, so I can just break all of them now. He can't call for anyone, though, because the radio system's down, so it doesn't matter. Since the chaff was still active. Probably would have been better to use a chaff grenade in the core. So I could have gotten around without any of the cameras, but... the main reason I didn't... which I guess was kind of a stupid idea, is I just didn't want the chaff to run out while I'm on the bridge. But I guess I could have just gotten out of the core and then just waited until the chaff ran out and then just threw another. Or I wouldn't have even had to have waited for it to run out. I think it would have just refilled the meter if I had just thrown another one. That's really what I should have done. I mean, I still have chaff grenades. Right? If they can't use the radio system, then I can kind of just run through here regardless of if they see me or not. That'll help out a bit. Yeah, I don't think you need to grab the sniper before here. I know you need a sniper, but I think you'll just get it here. Or maybe you do need to go back to get it.
Raiden, can...
Maybe I do need to go back and get a sniper rifle. Yeah, I do. Shoot. And I have to remember where the sniper rifle is. It's probably...
In order to get to Shell...
yeah, Strut F. That's what I was thinking. It's just always in Strut F. Guess I should have gone there first, but... at least I remembered that I needed it this time. I just didn't remember where it was. I didn't know if you got it just on the way, or... if you needed to go grab it first. The thing is, I think for the AK, they tell you to go get the AK. Oh, shoot, I went the wrong way. Oh, well. But they tell you need the AK before you get to where you need the AK. Whereas for this, they don't tell you you need a sniper rifle until you get to the connecting bridge. So give me the grenade launcher, which will be a little bit useful for the vamp fight, maybe? But other than that, it's not going to be that useful. It is interesting, though, because if you call Pliskin with the grenade launcher equipped, he'll tell you that the grenade launcher wasn't available in VR training, even though it is available in the VR missions. You do use it in the grenade missions, at least for Raiden. The thing is what he's referring to is not Metal Gear Solid 2's VR missions. He's actually referring to Metal Gear Solid 1 VR missions. Because in the original Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, there were no VR missions. Those weren't added until Substance. So all the dialogue referring to VR missions are based on Metal Gear Solid 1's VR missions, and not the ones added later in Substance. I just try and go and hope I don't die. You'll notice there are a couple times where, like, Raiden's stopping suddenly, and it looks really awkward. That's just because, that's just an issue with my controller. If I hold, like, straight to the left, it won't properly read the input all the time. You don't actually have to shoot all these with the sniper rifle. If you can get close enough, sometimes it is easier just to shoot it with the SOCOM. It's just there's some that I think are actually impossible to reach with the SOCOM. I think technically, though, you can actually get most of them with the SOCOM. It'd be really difficult, but you can get a lot of them. I don't think you can shoot it through the flag. I think you do have to wait for the flag to move. No, it looks like it was broken. Let's see, there's one down here. Now for the Harrier fight. And then, yeah, I think it's just the Emma section and then Arsenal gear, pretty much. Stinger also could be very useful for the Vamp fight. And then obviously you need it for this fight. And with how low the audio I have on my TV, though, there could be one part kind of tricky. There's a visual cue you can use to avoid one of the attacks. I do tend to just shoot a bunch of missiles. Most of them won't hit, but still. Keep shooting them in case one of them does. Because Snake's going to give ammo as much as you need it, so... not really too much of a point in saving it. Actually did not know that the rations disappeared. That was crazy. I should probably have them equipped just in case. Alright, this is the part. Yeah. That didn't kill me, did it? But yeah, that was the part where the visual cue would have worked, but to be fair, I did kind of hear it, I just didn't...
I'll let you go out in style.
I didn't really remember how far I actually had to listen for it. Oh, I did not. I straight up didn't see those missiles. Okay. Yeah, the best way to avoid the big fiery missiles he shoots is just to, as soon as they're about to land, jump on the railing and you'll be completely invincible from it. Do kind of hope Snake gives me some ammo, though. Thought he'd drop it more frequently. Up there's some. Should be plenty as long as I don't waste any shots.
Jack, are you all right?
Colonel, Metal Gear's are...
This part's always kind of tricky, though. I guess not really. They kind of want... Actually, I don't remember what they want you to do. Yeah, you can't just make it by jumping, but that's really scary to do a lot of the time. Where do you go next, actually? Okay. Oh. Guess I overshot that. Dang, that actually sucks, because I have to make the jump again.
Jack, you have to answer me. Jack! Jack!
It just can sometimes be a little difficult because if you are too early, you will fall down. Yeah, this time I'll actually try and see if I can...
This is not a pretty sight. Hurry up and check the situation.
I'm definitely not going to risk trying to jump across that gap. Okay. Come on. Yeah, at least it didn't really matter. You do want to be careful with your grip level. Because if your grip level's low, you can't hold on. For as long. You can up your grip level if you keep, like, jumping down. Like, letting go of rails and then grabbing onto the next rail. You can eventually get your grip level 2. But there's really not much point in doing that. Like, maybe there's a couple parts it would be kind of useful for, but not really. Though you can upgrade it at any point in the game. Because you can even upgrade it in VR missions. There's some VR missions where you have to do a lot of climbing on rails and jumping and stuff, or falling and grabbing onto them. And if you do happen to just grab onto a lot of them, you will up your grip level. You don't have to, though, for any of those VR missions. I completely forgot about this.
Then screw your plan. I've been waiting for this day for 2 years, and I will send him to the bottom of the ocean, right next to my old man.
The launch comes first.
Damn it. Where is Ocelot?
Not here.
I don't trust him.
Don't talk that way about one of your own.
He's not one of my own. He left my father to die, remember?
Olga, we'll talk later. We need to get started on the final checks for the unit.
All right. I'm headed back there.
The upper connecting bridge to Shell 1 is down.
What about the chopper?
The cam-off is out of action. Take the
Yeah, this is another part that, like, maybe would be pretty long if I were playing the game normally.
Not yet. Their retrieval comes last. The intruder's still at large.
Snake.
What about the other man?
He's got luck on his side, certainly.
He survived that explosion.
But if you know what you're doing and you're skipping all the cutscenes, this is a super, super short section.
1 hour. Keep the president alive until then.
I know. No one gets in here. Turn the currents on.
Of course. High voltage currents on.
We start living for ourselves after this. If there's anyone who wants to stay here, I want you to take good care of them.
Gladly. Gerlukovich soldiers are the cream of the crop.
It's time they went free.
What happened to rebuilding Mother Russia?
The old man is dead. The world is a different place now.
It's your life.
Just as a reminder, I'm going to say this again, one last time. Don't try anything on us.
The feeling is mutual.
I'm in.
Alright, I have to get the Nikita. Need to remember where it is. It's somewhere here, though. It's not like I have to go into a different room. There's gun cameras in there. Getting them 4 is kind of useful. Really just for the vamp fight, though. Because vamp fight's really kind of the only fight you would want to use. Oh no, I do have to go down, I think. To one of the different floors. Like, you don't have any rifles before the vamp fight. Or before the Harrier, rather. So you wouldn't want to... Or so you couldn't use rifles on Fat Man or Olga. Oh no, this isn't where I have to swim some... Get the Nikita and then come back, is it? That might be what it is.
The only way
I didn't get to here, though.
Snake.
Yeah. This is kind of annoying because the swimming controls in this game really aren't that good. Plus the game lags. I have to remember how to swim. But you have to do like part of this section, go back, and then later you have to do the full part of it anyway. I think it's kind of towards the middle though. Like just on some offshoot path you wouldn't actually go. Alright, got it. Now I just gotta get back before I die. I think though if you were on very easy, you wouldn't have to play this section at all. The Nikita would just be right at the top of the surface. But then actually using the Nikita, I mean, if you just know where to fire it, really is no problem at all. I believe I usually shoot it in here. Nope, wrong way. Oh, can you actually break these gates if you shoot it enough with the missiles? That would be super interesting. I actually never thought of that. Definitely did take a wrong turn, though. Yeah, can you? You can. Interesting. Don't really want to waste all my ammo, but... So, is this a different route you can do? Because you can't do it without breaking any of the gates.
What are you doing?
As you probably could have guessed by...
What are you doing?
I didn't even know you could break the gates, but that's actually really interesting that there is a different route. I never knew that. That's part of why I really do like this game, and a lot of, like, bigger title games of this generation. There's just so many small details that you can learn even years after you've played the game.
I wish to be a...
Like, I first played this game 11 years ago, and I'm still learning new things about it. And that's after beating every single... getting the top score on every single VR mission. And I never knew you could break the gates with the Nikita.
It is a...
That's also what I really like about Final Fantasy XII. But that game is definitely not viable. I don't even think Zodiac Age is viable, even though you do have the speed up with that.
What? I took these photos 2 years.
So yeah, next is the Emma section, then the Vamp
Did you manage?
section, and the fighting, or the sniper section. I guess this is another kind of long section, because the swimming
We're wasting.
takes quite a while, especially once you get Emma. And then the vamp fight, and then the... Well, the vamp fight's first, right? Then the sniping section's kind of long. But then once we get to Arsenal Gear, it's gonna really get a lot shorter from that point. There's really not much game once you get to Arsenal Gear. This is really kind of the last big chunk of the game. And getting to that like last big chunk of the game, and it's still under 2 hours. That does make this a bit longer than most of the other games I've done. I think so far the only... I don't think there's been like too many over an hour and a half games I've done. It's like both... Okay, this is not the area I'm supposed to go. But both of the Crash... At least console Crash games, because Huge Adventure was under an hour. But Crash 3 and Wrath of Cortex were both less than an hour and a half.
Raiden, are you reading me?
And then Sonic 3D Blast was only about an hour. Or a little less than an hour. No, a little more than an hour. Oops, I forgot that missile was... or mine was there. I actually don't remember where to go. Were those the only, like, hour games I've done so far? A lot of the rest have been a lot shorter. The Rough Trigger did take me a little more than 2 hours. Where do you actually go? Probably down that big hallway, if I had to guess. This will probably end up being the longest game I've done so far. And I probably could have done it shorter had I remembered most of what was going on. It really is that little bit of unfamiliarity that kind of made this a longer game. Okay, that's what you do. I just needed to look at the map, literally. That would have been the easiest way to clear out the area. I don't really want to get hit by these mines. Oh, well. Guess I didn't have a choice in the matter. And depending on when I played this, it would have been... I would have been more familiar with it. It had been a while since I've played this game. At least the main story of the game. Because I did do the VR missions not too long ago. And it is so hard to see. I don't know if this is easier to see in the HD version. But actually, it looks like on my capture card, it's easier to see. A bit more Oh, that's a mine. Or no, that wasn't a mine. That was an item. Getting to this part where you just bump your head trying to get out of here is very, very annoying. Yeah, had I just... Depending on how recent I had done a playthrough, I would have probably remembered more, but... I did remember quite a bit. I've played the Tanker chapter way more than Plant. Because I used to do just small run-throughs of Tanker to see the best time I could get. So I'm super familiar with Tanker, but not quite as familiar with Plant. Yeah, I forgot the vamp fight also like super lags. That's why the Stinger can be really useful for the vamp fight. Because when he's in the water, you can shoot it, and that'll drain his oxygen. And that'll force him to immediately come back up, rather than you having to wait just forever. Shoot. You need to remember, though, for some things, you can actually... You can move while shooting if you hold Y while you're shooting. We can figure out where he is. I will also try the grenade launcher, but I don't remember if that works for draining his O2. I actually wonder if it'd be easier to do the non-lethal kill on him. Since shooting the missiles, or maybe not easier, but at least faster. Shooting the missiles drains some of that HP. But you could probably be doing a bit more. Yeah, that's what I thought would happen. But you could at least be doing, you know, a bit more damage by... No, I really don't want that weapon out. Dude, that's his most annoying move, though, is when it does that, because sometimes it's so hard to actually dodge. And that's why using rifles is way easier for this fight. I think there's... No, probably not. Using rifles is a lot easier for this fight because you can just keep shooting rather than... having to wait. Alright, but I guess that's actually what you're supposed to do, and I just never really realized it. When he's doing that knife move, you're not supposed to dodge and then hit him. You're just supposed to be trying to hit him before he's ready to strike. This is the right way, right? I really do not want to accidentally go backwards, but it should be the right way considering I have no mini-map. I do think there is one of these oxygen things that if you go up too quickly, there is just a mine there and you'll get blown up. I keep hitting the mines because I'm not used to which direction I need to hold. Go up or down.
Can you...
Leave me. I can't swim.
Put your ear...
Oh, it just throws you straight into the swimming. Okay. Yeah, and then Emma's O2 is much lower than Raiden's, so they come back for air more. I think it really does show, though. If you didn't have these, like, sections that just take a really long time, like the bombs or the swimming sections,
That noisy...
this game would be really, really short without cutscenes. You know, as long as you knew what you were doing. Oh, I forgot about this room. Dude, hopefully that doesn't end up killing me. I accidentally held first person. Dude, I gotta start holding the right direction at some point. Probably wasn't a good idea to skip that oxygen. Yeah, really need to get here quickly. Okay, so it is actually just straight up. Up is up and down is down. I guess I was thinking it was going to be reversed. Like down would be up and up would be down. And once you actually know the route, though, the swimming section's really not that bad. Just when you don't know where to go and you don't have the radar on, and there are all the mines everywhere, that's when it gets annoying, but it's over now. No, still a few groups. You should be good, right? Guess I should have already hit the button and then dealt with the bugs. Are there guards here now? Yeah. Oh well, it's not really too big of a deal. Kind of isn't really gonna change how I approach a section like this. I think the only parts I'm not quite sure on how to approach at this point is just getting to the area where you have to snipe the second vamp fight, and navigating through Arsenal gear. The rest I should be fine on. The sniping section's not that bad. The Ray fight, I think the Ray fight can be a little tricky. The Solidus fight should be no problem, though. The only time the Solidus fight is really hard is if you're doing that one Snake Tales where you have to fight Solidus as Snake. Because that fight was not designed to be fought without a sword, and it can really show when you're not using the sword. Alright, there are ciphers here. Which is probably why they give you chaff grenades. We then have to just remember where to go. Should be pretty obvious. It's gotta just either be up or down. I couldn't go down earlier, so it's probably where it is, because I think the... Oh, no. Definitely don't want to go there. Because I don't think you can go up here still. Probably will actually be way, way easier just to destroy these rather than to keep using the chaff grenades. I think I actually was right in having to go down. I just forgot you could put out the fire. It might come back. I might have to do it again. No, it doesn't. This should take us back to Strat E. And then I'd have to remember where we're going after that.
Damn it.
What's wrong?
Who's that?
Yeah, it's gonna be really bad. Maybe I can just have it not happen if I just go back up here. And then go back. Where'd Emma go, though? Does she have like a different spawn location for each room instead of remembering where she is? Does the game just have a certain spot it puts her? I actually don't know. I don't know why I'm just watching the cutscenes. Maybe it's after this we go back to Strat E, though.
This is right.
Should be the thermo goggles. Yep, definitely want those. So you can see everything. So otherwise, you're probably gonna lose because of these claymores. Yeah. Gonna see if I can take out like all the claymores first. But I do need to be aware of where Emma is. I'll probably still... Yeah, right there. Probably good just to go ahead and call Snake, though. If you call Snake, he'll start helping, so you don't have to use as much of your ammo. You can just aim near something. And Snake should shoot it. Maybe it has to be on the part Emma's at. Or maybe Snake can only help once Emma gets to a certain point. It will be really helpful for taking care of the ciphers. Is there any more ammo, though? Because I'm kind of running low. I don't know if it was really necessary to kill that guy. Alright. Switch back to the thermo goggles just to make sure I took care of all the claymores. Yeah, there's no more. Oh, it's not on this section.
This is Snake.
Okay, he has to... You have to wait for him, okay. Now he should start? Or maybe not. Just one more check just to really make sure there are no claymores. Yeah, this section is just super, super long, though.
Snake, I can't handle this alone.
Okay, I'll take care of it.
Okay, I was supposed to call him
Show you
again.
how sniping should be handled. Take a good look. My sniping field will be limited to the area you're watching through your PSG-1 scope. Keep a good lookout on Emma's surroundings.
Okay. I didn't realize you're supposed to call him twice. Yeah, now Snake will just kind of deal with everything. I guess the reason you have to call him specifically is in case you were going for... If you were like going for big boss rank where you can't get any kills, you would want to use the Tranquilizer PSG and just shoot all the enemies to knock them out. You wouldn't want Snake being there constantly firing at them and killing them. But at least we're almost to the end. I think this middle section is where it's going to end, actually. Not getting all the way to the end, because the other vamp fight. But I'm really running out of pentamine, so I don't want to use another one. But I can have Snake just destroy all the enemies instead. Save on ammo and save on pentamine for the vamp fight. Maybe it's in between those two sections. Nope. I was right the first time. Wow, that was a lot easier than I thought. You really don't have to aim. It's kind of just aim at him the first time, hit him, then wait for him to move, hit him, wait for him to move, hit him. It's actually really, really easy.
Snake, what's your...
Alright, yeah, so this takes me to Strut E. And then I have to get back to the Shell 1 core. Right. So despite saying I wasn't going to need to, I did end up needing to come back here.
Hey, Jack.
So maybe it would have been better to have not taken out those tiles when I did, but honestly, shouldn't be that big of a deal. Because I can just use the chaff grenades here. I keep looking in the wrong menu. And then I can just sidle again. You can climb over the railing if you really wanted to, but if your grip level's only level 1, I don't think you can make the full thing without having to jump back on. So you would have to make sure you have enough time to be able to jump back on and then jump back off to restore your grip level. And I don't think you have enough time with one chaff grenade to do that. So that's really just not the best way to go about it. Especially because if the Cyphers do see you, not only are they going to start shooting at you, but if they shoot you, you fall off and die instantly. So you really just either want to sidle or just save the panels for when you need them most. Which I still think it is that coming out of the Shell 1 core is the time it's most necessary to... Or that's the best time to use the panels. But yeah, all that's left is just this section, right? I forgot the mashing. Which I've never been that great at mashing. Oh yeah, and another unskippable cutscene, technically. Even though you kind of can play around, unlike the Stillman cutscene.
You remember me, don't you? You've grown.
It still is technically a cutscene.
High concentration of cerebral implants. Have they altered your memory, too?
So it is pretty much just personal gear, the Snake fight, or fighting with Snake, then Ray, then Solidus.
So you join. Olga, you can't keep this up. They're bound to find you.
Listen, I'll free you in a little while. Brace yourself.
Jack,
I do think, though, in Arsenal Gear, there are some pretty. In this room, there are some pretty neat hiding spots they do for bomb disposal. Since you really don't do much with this room in the actual game, it is cool that they did hide some bombs in there. Do you think the Arsenal Gear ones tend to have some of the coolest hiding spots? But since this is the only part of the game other than the very beginning where they do not give you the M9, it's definitely going to be a little trickier to deal with. It's probably not the best way to go. But I also don't want to make the noise. Let's say these cameras. I think it's probably safer to be up here, though. Because if you're on the lower level, the people on the higher level can still see you. Shoot. Oh, well, time just to book it. That's actually really interesting, though. For most of the game, if you press the first person button, it kind of zooms into the first person view. But right there, it was actually instant. Like, it just instantly changes your perspective rather than going in. Still zooms out, though. I don't think you have to answer any of these calls. I think you can just run back and forth till it's over. Okay, so you can just run through that section if you do get caught. Yeah, mostly I'm familiar with the Arsenal Gear section and avoiding all the enemies. I do know that most from the VR missions, like the hold-up modes and elimination and stuff. So usually when I play those sections, I do end up having some sort of weapon, which does make it a lot easier. Some of the hold-ups, though, in that area are pretty cool. There's some like cool routes you can do with, especially some of the snake ones. Maybe we do have to at least pick up one of them. Oh, maybe you do actually have to answer some of them. I thought you didn't. I thought you could just run around until it was over, but...
Move the right thumbstick up and down.
I don't remember how to end this section either. You just keep swinging until Snake says that's good? Yep, I guess so. Do you think for this section, though, it is best mostly just to use the sword? I think it's some of the easier difficulties, though. This Snake is, like, a really good partner that he can kind of actually beat the entire section himself. Really probably should be doing a bit better at not using all my rations. Oh no, Snake will give me some, so it doesn't matter. Just want to make sure I have a decent amount for the Ray fight. I don't know what version or difficulty it is or how it works. I do think, though, there is a way that you can just, like, be completely invincible during this section and just let Snake do the entire fight himself. I don't really know if this is time-based or enemy-based. Looks like it was enemy-based. Can you still save? Yeah, I thought that's what would happen. Is there another? Yeah, there is another fight. Hey, don't make me use the SOCOM. That's like the worst weapon I could use here. I mean, honestly, it would probably be good to also use the rifles, because even though I don't think you can kill the sword guys with them, you can't get all the gun guys. I'll just use up some of the ammo, because it's not like they're gonna be... Not like rifles are gonna be useful at any other point in the game. Because you don't use them in the Ray fight or the Solidus fight. This is the last time where any weapon other than the Stinger or the sword are going to be any sort of useful. It also does seem it's always way faster with the rifles instead of trying to use the sword, because then you can shoot multiple enemies kind of very quickly. Then you can take care of the gut guys very quickly, so you don't have to keep taking damage.
It came as a complete surprise.
All right,
once I
another
discovered the S3 data from GW.
unskippable cutscene.
Not a bad idea, though. Using fire to fight fire, creating the perfect assassin to retire Solid Snake's brother. S3 stands for Solid Snake Simulation. It's a development program to artificially reproduce Solid Snake, the perfect warrior. The result is a Foxhound Commando. When Foxhound no longer exists, a simulated Solid Snake shaped by VR regimen. Sound like someone you know, Jack? I'm sorry to see you reduced to one of the Patriots' puppets. But I've made use of you, and their plan too. Solid Snake's sudden appearance, your arrival. It was obvious the Patriots were among my ranks. I had to smoke out the agent before the mission entered the final phase. You came in handy, as bait. Jack, those days during the Civil War were as real as they come. Every day was absolute, split between life and death. You ran from it.
I still don't know why they keep defaulting you to the SOCOM. I do want to do as much damage to all three of these guys as possible before the first guy jumps in the center. I don't know how many raids you have to defeat on normal. I know on very easy you only need to defeat the first 3. But I don't know how many it is in normal. Yeah, doing it this way before the first guy actually jumps in the center and starts having a lot harder moves. You can already pretty much have them super low to have only 1 hit left. I think at this point, though, I do want to just focus on the guy in the middle. Because he's going to be the one doing more attacks compared to anyone else. You think you don't need to defeat all the Rays, though? I think there are always going to be 3 Rays at this point on screen at once. Even when I would need to kill one more. I really need that ration, though. I think also in very easy, all the Rays die pretty much in one hit. Well, since this guy still has a while before he leaves, I can pretty safely get that ration. Maybe on the last shot I could just shoot him in the head. But I don't know if that does enough damage. Did that really not hit him? I just need to stop firing missiles. Hopefully they don't land in front of me. Alright, so they always land behind you. I didn't know if it would be different since I was moving forward instead of to the side. I guess if I can shoot him just like right before he becomes vulnerable, like predict when he's about to, probably avoids him from shooting missiles. But he's using the cannon, or he was using the automatic, or the bullet weapon each time he became vulnerable again. So I wonder if different Rays have a different attack. Like there's one Ray that always does the 2 missiles, one Ray that always does the beam, and one Ray that always does the bullets. I actually don't know, but that might make sense because all the Rays have a different color eye. So you would be able to tell which is which based on that color. Oh, right, I forgot another mashing section. This is the harder one, though. Especially because I'm not that good at mashing. I don't think you can actually complete this section without losing all of your oxygen. But I think this is a section that,
It's not him I want the answers from.
has made me not want to attempt European Extreme. Because I don't know that I can mash fast enough to even complete that section.
No. Ames and the Solidus. That's the end. What you right.
This you can actually. I don't think it makes a difference if you do which type of damage you do to him. So I usually just use the blue sword, because why not? Yeah, I am able to block most of his attacks. And that's what makes this fight really hard. If you're doing the snake version of the fight where you don't get the sword in the final Snake Tail. Because you can't block all of his attacks, you have to dodge all of them. And then it also is annoying because if you hit Solidus 3 times after he does an attack, that's what does the most damage, and he'll like fly back. But oftentimes you can't get that to happen because this is uneven terrain, and while the sword you can swing up and down, and the slash is a pretty wide radius, so you pretty much are guaranteed to be able to hit him the 3 times with the sword. It is very difficult to actually hit him the 3 times you need in the snake version of the fight. Yeah, you can't just come up to him and hit him at any time. You do have to wait for... You have to dodge or block his attack. Before he's vulnerable. Is that it? Yep. There were a couple more hits on him, but nope.
There's no such thing in the...
Do you remember this place?
Of course. This is where we first met.
Yeah, I think it is where...
I remember now.
This is definitely the longest game
I met you.
to do so far.
It.
Nearly 3 hours. I honestly thought it was going to be a little less than that. To be fair, would have had I remembered some of the other things, but I mean, that wouldn't have saved that much time, really. Maybe I was kind of thinking what the time would be if I played very easy, because then a lot of the fights would have been shorter and I wouldn't have had to have worried as much, but still, I do think games under 3 hours are still the most viable. They're the ones I'm wanting to do the most. And even though I've only been able to really do one game a day recently,
Kind of things.
I will have time later on this week
Our culture,
to do a ton of really, really short games all in a row.
sorrow, joy. We'll tell them everything.
Yeah, that
that's
is so
important.
far 27 games done in 13 days.